Welcome back to Rand on Real Estate. I'm Greg Rand, your host. You're listening to 77 WABC. Call us at 800-848-WABC, 800-848-9222. Ask me your questions. I'm here for you. I want to help you figure out your real estate future. And I want to jump in now and talk a little bit about, more about this opportunity, this colossal opportunity that this particular economic crisis is presenting to us.
And then we'll get to John because he has a good question for you.
Yes, we have John in Newark. Stick around because I'm kind of leading this up for you. We all know that home ownership reached the highest levels in history a couple of years ago, and we know there are lots of reasons for that. And we also know now that in part because of the recession, in part because of the foreclosure crisis, there's now a decline in home ownership. Now, what does that tell you? If you're thinking like a landlord, what does it tell you about the potential to find tenants for rental property that you would buy? Well, I'll tell you this. In 2009, we had the biggest increase in rental households in American history, or recorded history. There were 800,000 new rental households created in the U.S. in 2009. And it's going to happen again in 2010 and 2011. Those are your customers, or those are your tenants, okay? When I say tenants, I mean customers. The people who are going to pay you money, pay off your mortgage over a long period of time, and help you build wealth. Now, another interesting fact about what's happening out there is that I focus mostly on residential investment property, okay? Because commercial real estate, I know a lot about it, but I'm not talking about it here today because it's a little bit too much of a high price point, and it's got a lot more dimension of complexity than residential property. One family properties we know about, 2 to 4 families are those multifamily, 2-family homes, 3-family homes. Now, what's interesting is that over the last several years, the entire home builder industry focused almost exclusively on building, surprise, surprise, luxury single-family homes. Okay? The vast majority of the development that's gone on in this country in the last 5 or 6 years has been single-family homes. And we have the lowest level of new development of 2 to 4 family properties that we've seen in 35 years. So what we're seeing here is a big increase in rental households, a big decrease in new supply of 2 to 4 family properties out there. And one more thing is the trend is that these new rental households, they don't want to live in big apartment buildings. They want to live in 1-family, 2-family, 3-family, or 4-family houses because many of them are coming out of home ownership and they don't want to give up the backyard. Okay, so there's like a perfect storm of situation here for you if you were to acquire a 2 to 4 family income property. So now why don't we jump in? John from Newark, how are you?
How are you?
Thanks for joining Rand on Real Estate. You had a question. Why don't you jump right to that?
Yeah, on 3 and 4, 4-family houses like you were talking about, I have a couple of them, but I find them harder to be making profit on them.
Harder to be able to generate cash flow with them on a current basis, meaning you've got bills, you've got to pay the mortgage, you've got to pay taxes, you've got to pay maintenance, and it's true that in the recession, rents have gone down. You've got competition out there who also have apartments that are for rent, and they're undercutting you probably and maybe stealing tenants and making it more competitive.
Not so much for the mortgage and stuff like that. Mostly maintenance, and most of the towns they want you to fill in all your profit on your, of course, what you make on your apartments every year, and then they want to base your taxes on that, and of course your taxes go sky high.
Yeah, well, that's something that I'm not going to be able to solve for you, unfortunately. Hopefully in November we'll make some headway on that. But the beauty, and you have some properties like this, so you know that the more tenants you have in a building, typically the more positive cash flow, meaning the more profit you're going to make on a monthly basis. Because if you had, let's say, a 3,000 square foot house, single family house, and if you had a 3,000 square foot 2-family house, you're going to generally be able to rent out those 2 units in the 2-family house for more dollars than you are for the single family. But what goes along with that, and I'm sure you could attest to this, is that now you've got double the headache, right? So there's a continuum of property management, hassles on the one side, and then positive cash flow on the other. And what we do when we advise our clients is we try to have them explain to us how comfortable they are turning a screwdriver, how comfortable they are dealing with rent collection, because if you can handle maintenance and you can handle repairs and you can handle knocking on the door if the tenant's not paying the rent on time, you can actually get into that 3 and 4 family market where the cash flow is going to be better. But to your point, John, right now because of the recession, my advice is the most important thing, even if your cash flow gets pinched, is to keep those things occupied.
Okay.
Keep your tenants because you'll be able to raise that rent later on if are you keeping your places occupied now? What kind of vacancy rate do you have?
I have 100% a vacancy. I have no problem with that part.
100% occupancy, right? Okay, everybody's renting in this. So you're in good shape.
I'm sorry, I have 100% occupancy, and if you can't turn the screwdriver, it'll become a problem as far as making money. So.
Yeah, well, I think you're in a good space. Where did you? How long ago did you buy these properties?
My first one 7 years ago. My last one about 4 years ago.
Okay, and you know what's interesting? Did you sell anything during the last couple of years?
No.
See, that's beautiful because I own investment property also. Some of that I bought kind of close to the peak like you did only a few years ago. But when you put down a decent-sized down payment and you have a decent amount of equity, doesn't it kind of make you kind of safe in a storm? You know, you're not leveraged
Absolutely.
to the hilt, and it makes you safe. It makes you ride out without flaking out. You don't freak and dump all your holdings because the market's turning down, which is the worst time to do it. You actually have the kind of strength to be able to ride through it. So thank you, John, for the call. It sounds like you're really well on your way to building a lot of wealth in real estate.